agree with me.
When I was last here a couple of years ago, I just returned from the front line of the war in Ukraine, where I was with the Ukrainian armed forces. And for most of the last 8 months, I've been in Israel and Gaza, following the war there as closely as I can. And I won't go into all the details now that I could give you of what's happening. But I would just put it in perspective in this way, first of all. What happened on the 7th of October was not just a massive attack on...
Douglas Murray is yet another one of these, like, classic fucking unimaginably right-wing, unimaginably racist British charlatans that basically fucking revitalized their career post-October 7 by just unconditionally dick-riding Israel. There are many such cases of this. Like, a lot of people are, like, at least somewhat cognizant of Israel's actions. No, this isn't the bell curve guy. He's named after the same... No, that's Charles Murray. I always make that mistake as well. He's just like a massive, raging Islamophobe. And the thing is, Douglas Murray was one of those dudes who just, like, didn't really have, like, a massive footprint. I only know about it because I know all these, like, fucking weirdos, even in England, because, like, you know, I love these fascinating pets. The thing is, like, he's gotten a lot more prominence because Israel doesn't really have a lot of, at least, like, cool-headed propagandists that they can deploy, especially as the situation worsens, especially as they become increasingly more violent, increasingly more brutal. Douglas Murray and, like, Divorcelli are some of the remaining loyal soldiers, basically. If you're in a dire situation when it comes to propaganda and there is mass mobilization occurring against your ethnic cleansing campaign, you're going to rely on whoever the fuck will do any kind of propaganda at your behest.
You might have expected, like me, that there might have been a worldwide opposition to the terrorists and rapists and murderers of Hamas. You might have thought there'd have been an outpouring of rage at the Islamic Revolutionary Government in Tehran, but no. There was an immediate outpouring of rage against the state that had been attacked. Bring back our girls, we had 10 years ago in the war in northern Nigeria, which I also covered. Bring back our girls. No international campaign saying bring back our Jewish children. Believe all women, we've been told for years. But turns out...
Wait, I don't think Douglas Murray was a big advocate for fucking Me Too, bro. What? He's like a super right-wing guy. Yeah, Depp Heard trial marks the end of the Me Too era. The groupthink tyranny of woke. Douglas Murray. Divided by a race, gender, sexual orientation. Sounds like a bigoted society. Yeah, this guy's not fucking pro Me Too. What are we talking about? Douglas Murray challenges wokeness, identity politics, and groupthink in his new book, The Madness of the Crowds, Gender, Race, and Identity. My man said Me Too only when Israel has declared that there is mass rape happening at the hands of Hamas on October 7. Yeah, also... He literally, yeah, I forgot about this. Douglas Murray in Australia. Douglas Murray is arguably the most impressive current advocate globally for Israel and its conflict with Hamas. Australian Academic Alliance Against Anti-Semitism wrote this. Is now a good time to talk about Jews and money? Article by Douglas Murray. That's so funny. He's like said anti-Semitic shit in the past too. He's a fucking classic right-wing guy in the UK.
You know, the interesting thing about anti-Semitism is, as my late friend Jonathan Sachs said, it's a shape-shifting virus. It moves across the centuries. When you could hate people for their religion, the Jews were hated for their religion. Then you couldn't hate people for that anymore. So people hated the Jews for their race. And then...
There's nothing funnier than Douglas Murray, a profoundly Islamophobic person, saying you can no longer hate people for their religion anymore. The fuck do you mean? You have a career built on shitting on Muslims. What are you talking about? You still very much can shit on religion.
You know, the interesting thing about anti-Semitism is the Jews can never win, because historically they've been hated for being rich and for being poor. They've been hated for integrating and for not integrating. They were hated for being stateless. Remember, rootless cosmopolitans, the far right used to say. And now they're hated for having a state.
Brother, what do you mean the far right used to say? You are the far right.
The only really acceptable form of anti-Semitism, aside from the sewers of the far right, the only real tolerated form of anti-Semitism is anti-Zionism. Zionism, as we just heard, is simply the right of the Jews to self-determination in their historic homeland. That's all. Anti-Semitism, as we've also just heard, is double standards against Jewish people or cruel and unfair treatment of people because they're Jews. This isn't very far away from home here. If this isn't anti-Semitism, can the audience here tell me why the following things have happened since October the 7th? Why in a Montreal suburb a synagogue should be firebombed, as happened in November? Why there should have been gunshots against the yeshiva?
Great question. It's because Israel packages all of its actions and masquerades as the defender of Judaism, and people are too stupid to fucking parse through the propaganda and come to their own conclusion that Israel does not represent the Jews. You, Douglas Murray, are going to definitely, in this conversation, bring up on multiple occasions that Israel represents the interests of the Jews. Israel is the Jewish home state. You already mentioned it, literally. You mentioned it literally a couple fucking minutes ago, a couple seconds ago, as a matter of fact. This does not mean that the synagogue attacks are valid or just. They are not. They are acts of anti-Semitism, anti-Semitic violence, as a matter of fact. This is why we say here in this community and on the left that Israel, by packaging Zionism as a fundamental plank of Judaism, when one predates the other by thousands of fucking years, by the way, you are playing into more anti-Semitism spreading because people see what Israel is doing. There's already a shit ton of anti-Semitism out there. And then when people see what Israel's doing, and then they see American media and Canadian media and all other like people in positions of power go, no, you're actually wrong for thinking that what Israel's doing is fucked up. They do not have a way of like parsing through that information. They're like, well, what? Israel keeps saying they're doing this for the Jews. Everyone else is saying that like me hating Israel means I'm hating Jews. Well, okay, I'm hating Jews then. Is literally the fucking the way of thinking that many people engage in. The expectation that there is going to be someone like myself who parses through this every fucking day of the week, unfortunately unheard of. Israel is exacerbating and creating anti-Semitism by tying the actions of a state and the actions of a fascist ideology like Zionism to Judaism. It is gross. It is very dangerous. It happens to be very beneficial to Zionism, though. So many Zionists continue doing it. If Jews feel unsafe in other parts of the world, in the Western world, they're going to be more interested in moving to Israel or defending Israel because that's the Jewish homeland. It's the only place where Jews can be safe. Even though Israel is not exactly safe for Jewish people at all. The one he mentioned in Toronto was solved, actually. Crime briefs. Toronto synagogue member accused of arson. Wait, what? The suspect is a member of the synagogue. Avram Bobrowski, 67 of Toronto, was arrested Friday. Police announced late Sunday and charged with arson, disregard for human life. No, it wasn't a false flag. It's probably some fucking nutter, dude. Not everything has to be a fucking false flag. I don't like this argument either. It makes it seem like real instances of anti-Semitism are all fucking totally made up. Like it's not. Yeah, he's probably fucking insane, dude. It's more likely that he was just out of his fucking mind and he did that shit. Not that he was like specifically doing a self-hate crime so that they can tie it back to like Palestinians or whatever. He's just saying a whole bunch of shit he doesn't believe when he says believe women. He doesn't believe women. He has cut so much propaganda against the Me Too movement, against women in general. But now, when it suits the purpose of defending Israel, he's like, well, believe women only works if they're not Jewish women in Israel. It's bullshit. Israel honors British journalist Douglas Murray for supporting post-October 7. Yeah. No, he's been getting fucking glazed. There aren't that many warriors out there who will do this level of propaganda. So they'll gladly have him. They don't give a fuck what he said before October 7.
Why in Toronto, a bookstore owned by a Jew should be attacked. Why in Toronto, the Orthodox synagogue was vandalized. Why in Toronto, 2 men opened fire the other week on a Jewish girls' school. If it isn't anti-Semitism, tell me why just a week ago, pro-Hamas protesters tried to go through Jewish areas in this city shouting, not just Allahu Akbar, but, and I quote, sorry for the language, fucking filthy fucking Zionist pigs, dirty Zionist rats. Have you heard that language before? The Jews have.
Wait, he said Allahu Akbar would have been an anti-Semitic thing that they're saying in Jewish neighborhoods. That kind of revealed his perspective a little bit, didn't it? Is this guy even Jewish? I don't think Douglas Murray is Jewish, no. He's a right-wing charlatan and a fascist. If you're Arab and you say Allahu Akbar, God is great, you're being anti-Semitic. A lot of the stuff that he brought up as far as like anti-Semitic incidents, some of which are describable, like the fucking bookstore that he just calls a Jewish bookstore. I remember what that situation was about. The owner of the bookstore is a major fucking Zionist and was literally trying to fundraise with the IDF. Get the fuck out of here, bro. What are we doing here? Like, what's up? You can't fucking get mad at a person being like, dude, this guy's pro-Ukraine unconditionally.